Old Alabama gardener, and I'm asking you the question, is it a disease you have or simply a condition? Now, before I begin making other videos on what I've been doing to improve my own health, I want to present a thought. Now, this is truly a little different than how most people think about your health. Now, and you don't have to agree with me. This is my thoughts, and but I ask you to give it some thought so that you can see what we're thinking about here. Now, the first question you might ask is, why do I oppose this way of thinking? And here's the answer. Because if you accept this idea, it will change the way you look at your own health, and it will deeply affect your approach in how you go about your own journey to better health. Now, here's my thought. Here's what I'm presenting to you. So I don't believe that the poor health most people are suffering with is a disease or an illness. Now, I know that's different than what you think, and that's different than what your doctor told you. Let me say that one more time. I don't believe the poor health most people are suffering with is a disease or an illness. Now, that, of course, is going to make you have the question, okay, if it isn't a disease or an illness, then what is it? And my answer is, it is simply a condition. A condition that humans have let their bodies get into, and this occurs through a number of different ways. Now let's talk about little bitty tiny cells in our body and our whole body a moment. You see, each little tiny cell in your body must have the same things your whole body needs, and that is water, food, oxygen, and this is important, a way to get rid of waste. If any one of these are missing, your body can't survive and you're going to die. And you see, each little bitty cell in your body is the same way. It needs water, food, oxygen, and a means or a method to get rid of waste. Now here's the difference, of course. When a little cell gets full of waste and it can't get rid of it, it begins to die. And there is where what you call disease sets in. See, when little cells get full of toxicity or full of junk, full of waste, they just can't function anymore. And when one little bitty cell in your body dies, obviously that don't make your whole body die, but it does begin to have an impact. Now let me give you a couple examples here. I'll start with cancer. You see, cancer is not a disease. You don't catch cancer. Cancer develops in our bodies because we let the conditions in our body get to a point where cancer can grow. So what I'm talking about is that each of those little bitty individual cells, they begin to die. They're full of waste, and that creates the environment or the condition where cancer can begin to grow. Now here's another example, and that's sinus problems that you get up here. Now notice I didn't call it a sinus infection because I don't believe it is an infection. I will admit, though, that if you don't take care of it, it is possible for it to turn into some kind of an infection. And if it's not an infection, it's certainly not a disease. So what is it? It's a condition. A condition caused by mold and fungus, which takes over in certain areas of our body and begins to grow. Now think about it. What kind of conditions does mold and fungus like to grow in? And the answer is dark, damp, or moist, and warm. Now what did I just describe? I described the conditions that exist here in your nose, in these big sinus cavities, in your inner ear, maybe sometimes in your throat. Conditions of warm, moist, and dark. And the mold and fungus begins to grow in there, and then you have what you call sinus infections. But it's not sinus infections. It's simply a condition that you allowed to grow or to develop in your body. Now, to fix sinus and inner ear issues, we have to use something that was a mold and fungus killer, not antibiotics. All right, we'll talk about one more and then we'll move on. What about knee joints that are deteriorated to the point that a knee joint replacement is necessary? Well, this is simply a condition. It's not a disease. I forgot the exact name of all that, but it's not a disease. It's a condition where we let develop where the cartilage is depleted and the bones are rubbing together. This is caused by not rebuilding the cartilage in the knee joint through proper nutrition. Now, here's something for you to think about. This is one of them statements. To be healthy, you have to stop doing things that hurt your body and start doing things that help it. It sounds simple, don't it? And many people don't get that. Stop doing things that hurt your body and start doing things that help it. Now, since I mentioned nutrition, let me make another statement about that. I believe that all of what most people call disease is caused by nothing more than two things: toxicity and nutritional deficiencies. All of these conditions, almost all of them that you might want to name, that people are experiencing, things that most people call disease, are caused by toxicity and nutritional deficiencies. Now, we usually think of toxicity as poison or heavy metals, but toxicity is anything that hurts your body. For example, I believe that genetically modified organisms or GMO foods are inherently bad for your health. GMO crops are ones that have been modified to prevent damage by insects or to allow the spraying of Roundup. Now, most of you know that I'm a gardener. You see that sign back there, it says Old Alabama Gardener. And I know that if I don't give my plants what they need to be strong and healthy, they will not do well. They may grow, but they will not produce the quality of vegetables or fruit that I need and want. And see, our bodies are the same way. If we don't give our bodies what it needs to be strong and healthy, we will be sick with all of the conditions, which you may call disease, you see in America today. You may ask, what is my answer? And that's what I'm going to be talking about in some future videos as I take you through my own journey from my near death to better health. And when I say my near death, my heart actually stopped beating, stopped 3 times in the course of about 2 hours. And I'll explain some of that detail in another video. So now you may say, what's the point? The point I'm trying to make with you is this. As long as you think about your poor health as a disease or an illness, then you are likely to think that the doctors and their medicines will heal you. Now, before you get off in the wrong direction here, now I'm not against doctors and their medicines. I believe that there's a time and an occasion where a doctor and some medications are needed. But the main way you will heal yourself and get to better health is by making the right lifestyle changes. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's get this simple with some basic steps to better health. The first thing you got to do is you got to get some tests done so you know your starting point. See, it's important to know the starting point so as you make changes, you will know if you're getting better, staying the same, or hopefully not getting worse. Now this is called establishing a baseline. This is going to be a departure point, a point from which we will measure any other test that we do against this point. Second thing you got to do is you got to make some lifestyle changes. Might mean quit smoking. It might mean cut back on your alcohol or eliminate it totally. It might mean making some changes in how you eat. See, these are all called lifestyle changes. So then after you have made some lifestyle changes, the third thing you need to go and do is to get all these tests done again. And that way you can measure or monitor the progress that you're making. See, when you get the test done the second time, then you can compare them to what the test results were the first time, and you'll know whether you're getting better, worse, or staying the same. And then number 4, you might need to make some more lifestyle changes based on the results of the test you just had. See, and then you kind of keep repeating this little process. You keep fine-tuning things. You keep making little changes, improving your health, and over time, you're going to get healthier. You're going to get better. I got to give it one caveat. Unless you have a serious accident that has damaged your body to the point where lifestyle changes will not help it, and I understand that, and some of you may be in that category. I just made me say one more point about that. Your poor health conditions may have gotten so bad that it is past the point to be corrected, and that your only choice is to continue on medications and depending on your doctor. And I fully understand that. And even with that, there might be some improvements you can make, though, with lifestyle changes. But for those of you who are not at the point where you really just don't have any other choices, you're at a point where it's not too late to make some changes. And the sooner you do that, the better it's going to be for you. Now think about this. When we do tests, such as blood tests, x-rays, whatever other kinds of tests that doctors may prescribe for you, we're not looking for disease or illness. We're looking for conditions. We're looking for measures or measurements that's going on in your body. It might be inflammation that we're looking for. And so we're looking for conditions, not illnesses. And that's an extremely important point. All right, so as I summarize this, think about this. If your failing health is in fact a condition, and that condition is caused by poor lifestyle choices you made, then it stands to reason that you can make better lifestyle choices and undo or reverse at least some of the conditions you're suffering with. And you accept that medicine is not going to fix that condition. See, and that condition is caused by poor lifestyle choices that you have made, no matter what your age. Then it stands to reason that if you can make better lifestyle changes or choices, and you can undo or reverse at least some of the conditions you are suffering with. This is something for you to think about.